Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's stream. This is a very impromptu, unplanned stream, but I had a nice window of time, and a few people requested uh, that we look at some of the CBI replays on stream. So that's what we're doing today. Um, and I decided I'd pick out two games that I believe we're not on stream at all. Uh, Maybe I'm wrong about that, but some of the later rounds where the opposition gets tougher and tougher, I figure. So uh, one of the later rounds was versus the king on his Asa. Um, hey, what's up, Siat? Good to have you here. That's perfect because you were one of the people that wanted to see these replays, and I haven't gone through them again since CBI. Maybe I think I looked at the Brandon replay, Brandon being the king. We're friends, so I flip to his first name sometimes. Um, but yeah. So we have a game against Turan, which is on a very reg Hoshiko versus my very not regular BTL with Eminent Domain and Archer. So these two lists up against each other. But the first one we're going to look at is the, Brandon's Asa versus my Lat. So I think before we jump into the replay, let's look at the lists real quick. So one thing about Asa is it's um, it's a snowbally deck, I would say. It's one of those that yeah, it has a bunch of things that makes it roll faster and faster. Um, and it has like a strong early-ish game, I would say, and then it can kind of finish off with fast advance with biotic labor plus wage workers, sometimes recurring the biotic labor with Vitruvius counters. Um, and it has a lot of ice that's kind of nasty to face check early, like Drafter and Gatekeeper. Hagen, if you have programs. Ablative is more annoying later once there's threat, and there's some strong ice in brand. So it can be a little bit taxing, but mostly it's trying to get a lot of tempo and then rush out. Rush out agendas so that you can finish off with biotic labor. So the matchup against something like my lat, which is a much my lat is like it doesn't pressure you a lot early on. It's just rushing to like kind of a late game board stage. So the dynamic here is the Asa is trying to rush out agendas before this lat starts just being able to get in every single turn. Because of the setup this lat has, the Asa will not be very taxing against the lat once it's set up. Some interesting interactions, though, is that this Asa is running Malia. So Malia can blank the Aesop in the lat list, which can be really annoying. You can also blank environmental testing sometimes. If it's about to pop, that can be kind of annoying because you might have to actually run the Mali and trash it to get your environmental testing. One thing to note, that this is like a way for the Asa to slow the lat down. So that's also a neat thing for the Asa in this matchup is you have a way to slow the lat down. There's also a bit of recursion, so there's a potential to recur this. If you hit the Aesop, then you basically hope that they don't draw another copy very soon. But if you're denying one trigger, that's at least them being 3 credits behind where they were supposed to be. So yeah, so that's kind of neat. So I didn't play this matchup at all before the tournament. In the tournament, it felt pretty even I like sometimes the asa rushes out, it seems. Sometimes it seems the lat kind of establishes the board if the asa is too slow, and then the lat is favored, I think. But it's quite tricky. And I really like Brandon's list. Um, the cohort, it just is like seems like such a good card to me. Um, yeah, like it's kind of it's almost a bankers that you can ice. Is what it feels like, but with other upsides. The fact that this can help you fast advance makes this as a more snowbally than it would otherwise be, I guess. Because normally it's like, well, you're HB, so you have the wage workers, and that gets you ability to score an off world from 0. Uh, but with a cohort and a face down in archives, um, you might just score an off world with the wage and have a click left over, which is that's a lot of tempo. It's like scoring an off world and even having a click left over. Yeah, it says cohort is Sundew plus plus, and it feels a little bit like that. Of course, you're going through your deck faster, but with this deck you kind of want to, and also this deck is running a lot of tech into Mavers. The fact that you can pitch the Mavers with cohort makes it like less of a sacrifice, I guess. So it just seems like a very smart include to me. Um, Also, like if you need the tech, I guess it makes you find the tech faster. So like, I like all of these things. And another thing I guess I like about it is you can pitch things and then those become drafter targets. So sometimes when you're playing HB, your drafter is kind of lacking teeth, like on the very first or second turn sometimes before you get something into archives. Um, but cohort helps you get stuff into archives, so maybe that's like another little benefit. Um, but anyway, yeah. So neat list by Brandon, I think. I think is very cool. Um, and I guess without further ado, let's jump into the replay. Um, Now, oh shit, I'm very far ahead. Um, so I didn't have any practice against this, and I didn't know Brandon's list when we were going into this game because this was still Swiss rounds. This was Swiss round 6, and I believe at this point I think I had lost one round. Yeah, so if Brandon beats me here, I needed to win 2 more rounds to get into the top cut. Okay, so yeah, let's look at these hands. So Brandon is drawing Rashida, cohort, fully up, tattoo. To me, this looks like a very strong hand. Like the cohorts is like exactly what you want to snowball your econ, to find your pieces. Having 2 of them is actually even better because now even if they go and run archives to prevent you from having face downs, you just rest another one and then you put a face down and then immediately turn it face up so you can still get the advancement, which is kind of nasty. Yeah, fully up is like huge in Asa. The only, I guess, not neat thing is there's only 1 ice, but like, given how good the rest is, I don't think you worry about that. You probably draw into the rest of your ice. You do something like maybe you draw first click, or maybe you just install Rashida, install 2 assets. I don't know. Maybe you're afraid to leave them vulnerable on the table. But I would say this is 100% keep for Brandon for these reasons. Like you could draw click 1, see what you get, then maybe install a Rashida, get the Asa trigger, install something else, something like that. Either way, you have a good turn 1. You have stuff to do. My hand, on the other hand, pun intended, I guess, is bad. price, propeller, symbol chip, buzzsaw, diesel. So you like seeing the price and diesel. They let you see more of your cards. Uh, but the symbol chip doesn't do anything right away. Neither does the buzzsaw, neither does the propeller. And there's nothing here that like accelerates you. You want to see Aesop, you want to see Lilipad, you want to see sure gambles, like economy and draw. So there's plenty of draw kinda here with diesel and the price, but the rest is not good. So this doesn't look like a keep on my end. Now I don't remember what we did here, but those are my predictions, I guess. Diogenes asks, how did the economy of the King Corp feel? Good question. I think in my experience in the games where you get cohort running early, it's like it feels like it's almost infinite, but then if you forced as the corp to do a lot of biotic scoring, that is actually quite expensive, and then you can get low on money. So it feels like decent. Fully op really helps you bounce back on money. But of course, then you have to spend a little bit of time to make it. But overall, it felt pretty solid. I think the Asa for a long time might look really rich because it can take time before it's forced to rest its ice. Ideally, for the Asa, you kind of just like score to 5 without having to rest much of your ice, and then you can just biotic from hand, and you only need to rest the ice on the centrals. But yeah, sometimes you're forced to rest a brand and stuff, and then you might dip a bit low. So it depends. Siat says, do you still hard mull into Aesops, or are there other cards you can keep? Yeah, I think you don't hard mull for Aesops necessarily if the rest of your hand looks really good. Like, let's say you get like Sure Gamble, a lily pad, a diesel, or something. Like if your hand, if you get like good draw, and lily pad is like a really important card. So if you get like lily pad and the rest of your hand being good, you probably keep it as well. Yeah. Also, it depends a little bit on the matchups too. Like in some matchups, it's really important to have the burst econ early. I feel like. So if you just have like burst econ and draw, then you're pretty happy because you know that you'll be able to install kind of whatever you want. All right. But yeah, let's see. So he keeps, and I mull again. It makes a lot of sense. This hand is a little bit better. Still, the propeller and cleaver is kind of ass early. Like I'm not going to be installing these for a while. But we got like one more useful card in this, and double the price means we're digging quite a bit through our deck. So let's start the game. So Brandon mandatory is another cohort, which is crazy, because yeah, the makes it even more likely he's gonna have two running at the same time. Okay. Okay, so we get the draw click 1. I think, yeah, so one line you could go for is install the Rashida with an ice and install 2 cohorts. And I don't know that that's a bad idea. Like you can ice them later. So I'm not sure that the draw click 1 is like necessary. It might be that you want to draw to get the Asa trigger on your next turn. But I wouldn't be too worried about this lad contesting early. Although to be fair, I think he did know about this list, but I don't know like, yeah, if he was convinced that it was this lad or not. If you're up against this lad, I don't know. Some hands I will contest assets on the board. Let's say you have access to a Sure Gamble and access to an SMC, either through Muse or SMC. You probably go Sure Gamble, Muse, run pop for a Parisha, and then start trashing the assets. Because in those cases, yeah, you want to try to slow down the corp as much as possible. And I think in general, that is advantageous to lat. You slow the game down, you get more opportunity for lat triggers, they don't snowball as much. You have more time to set up your rig later. And that forces them to like ice everything past that point. But yeah, let's see what he does here. Because like now, again on this point, drawing click 1, if you go Rashida, ice in front of the Rashida with Asa trigger, and then install a cohort, then it's kind of like the same situation, except you only have one cohort on the board, so you're less likely to get a cohort trigger in case I go aggressive. So yeah, I feel like, especially since you have a third cohort, I'm kind of liking the line to just install 2 of them. So Rashida, that makes sense. The Tatu also makes sense. I guess maybe the draw was because he wanted to have an ice in case the Tatu gets attacked. But this could just be like not having a lot of experience against this lat, because this lat doesn't go aggressive like that typically. Now, funnily enough, in this case, I could, because I have propeller, so I could probably just install propeller and go. But in general, I don't go that aggressive. The lats that used to go very aggressive, they had trick shot and overclock, so then it's incredibly easy to contest remotes. This one doesn't have as easy of a time. It's like very time wasting comparatively. And wow, he takes a credit. I forgot about this. This feels like a very conservative line. It seems like he really wants to make sure that the cohorts are not just trashed for free, and that he will be able to put them behind ice. And of course, he has a lot more experience with this Asa than I do, so maybe that is the right line. This means after you pop the Rashida, you can put one of the cohorts behind this ice, and you can create a new remote with another ice, perhaps. Okay. Oh yeah, so maybe I should think about what we want to do here before looking at the next click. But so usually I don't want to be running into things immediately. I feel like that's just now not how this deck plays. It can be really good in some cases to get in early and like trash a Rashida. But yeah, if you hit something like, if this is just, I don't know, a wage workers or something, you kind of feel silly. And also there's the risk of hitting a gatekeeper and making them draw a bunch of cards that then further accelerates them. I guess in this case, actually, gatekeeper isn't as good as it usually is, because you would kind of overdraw. Yeah, not sure. But typically you don't go aggressive here. Siat says, for Asa Econ, I'd say if you draw a single fully up in the top 20 cards, you're good on money. I think it's really going to depend on how many of these iced remotes you get going in time for the fully up. Because sometimes you just play a fully up and it's kind of like a hedge fund with 1 credit extra sometimes, or you partially use it for draw. But yeah, the fully ups really help. Tatpingli says, is there a 6-cost ice he's threatening this way? Oh, that's a good point. I think that's probably why you want to be on 6. Yeah, because there's 2 MIC in the list. Bran, of course, is not very threatening, but MIC is very threatening. That's a really good point, because I wasn't really thinking about this now, but in the moment I probably was thinking about this. Face checking and MIC is like absolutely horrible. You lose all your clicks, or you lose, what is it, 2 clicks? Yeah, you lose 2 clicks. So after running that, your turn is over, and then the Rashida pops. Like, well, you have a click left over. Okay, so I think the reason I'm drawing here click 1 is The price, I've said this in a previous stream, I think the price becomes better the more of your cards you have seen. Um, because then it's easier to make a choice about what to keep and what not to keep. Um, so typically I draw and then play the price. Um, so I think this turn, um, you're trying to get your Aesop triggers as early as possible, and you're trying to get your lily pad triggers as early as possible. So this might be a situation where I play the price and see what I get. So like if you get a lily pad here, maybe you price to try to get like a muse or a coalescence. Or if you price and you get like coalescence or muse, then you might desperately play the other price this turn to try to get your Aesop, and then like play commission as your last click. Oh, but actually I just realized we want to stay on 5 cards. So I think I'm unlikely to play both the price this turn. I'm probably just going to draw again, play 1 price, and then like creative commission, something like that. Oh, I'm actually the pricing now. Interesting. Is there a reason I want to do it now? Maybe in case I get lily pad and then I can like install the propeller. I'm not sure. It's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure why the price now, to be honest. I guess instead of clicking for a card versus Asa, I should just install the stone chip and pop that because you see more cards. And then you can play the price. Yeah, not sure if this is a mistake, but if it is a minor one at least. So yeah, we hit sure gamble, environmental testing, diesel, self-modifying code. So of course we go for the card that costs 3. And then stone ship, yep, makes sense. We pop it. And now we can create a commission. So we get the draw. And Brandon will get to fire his Rashida. Yeah, so it draws into spin, Equa, ablative, off-world. So a little bit flooded now. Before we look at his click here. So still what we want to do is get rolling, I guess. There could be a slight concern that the lat starts running HQ here and fishing these agendas out of HQ. So a line could be installing cohort with an ice, installing a cohort in server 1. Like you get the ice with the ASA trigger, and then installing an ice on HQ. That seems like a pretty reasonable line. And then you're at 5, so you don't have to discard. I don't necessarily think you need to go for like a spin doctor line. Now, to be fair, I don't know that this lat wants to run HQ immediately. Usually you don't really have like time to be running a lot early on. But it might still be something you're scared of. Sometimes you will make a run like that even as this lat if it's like you're waiting for the lat draw anyway. So and all you can do is really click for a credit or draw a card that you'll have to discard. Then in some cases you might as well make the HQ run, see if you get an agenda, and then move on accordingly. So it could still be a legitimate worry. So he goes for the cohort with the ice. I'm expecting ice HQ and cohort in the remote. Oh, he undoes. Cohort, yep. Oh, the ablative. Yeah, because gatekeeper and HQ makes more sense if that is face checked. Then he can shuffle back these, I guess. Whereas an ablative on HQ doesn't really protect the agendas that much, comparatively. Again, I think I'm unlikely to go that aggressive, but still it does protect it better, so I think it probably makes sense. All right, yeah. So this is the line. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so now I start my turn. So the first thing you think about as lat is like, how do I end my turn in a way where we get the lat draw? Since we have 6 cards, if you have 6 cards and they have 5, you can always, if you have a diesel, You can play Diesel and play 3 cards, and then you get your lat draw. So this turn should be Diesel first to see what we get, which it is. And then we get environmental testing, buzzsaw, and lily pad. And this is let's think about this, because we don't have a whole lot of money. I think I actually remember what I did here. But yeah, so we have the only econ we have that we can get right away is the sure gamble. We can't really comfortably, like, we can't pop at an environmental testing this turn. And if we want to get the lily pad trigger, it's kind of uncomfortable, because either we have to install a card we don't want to install, like none of these we want to install right now, as they don't really do anything right now, or we have to price and hope we get something. So like a risky line would be something like environmental testing, lily pad, and then the price, and just hope we get a Muse or a Coalescence. Or actually, Muse doesn't work. It has to be a Coalescence. So it's very risky. We're looking for a very specific card. So I think this turn, the wisest thing is just to prepare to play the price next turn. So it's going to be sure gamble, environmental testing first, and then playing the lily pad, so that both the testings get a counter on them. Yeah, we're seeing this line. I'm starting to remember. So yeah, this makes sense. And then we get the draw, and this is a great draw, of course, because we're gonna stock up on counters. Maybe we can get an ace up with the prize. So Brandon's gonna rest both of these. So I guess, actually, we weren't thinking about this, but this is another amazing thing. Like, a lot of the times as Corp, your Spin Doctor can only shuffle back your agendas if you overdraw and then discard them. But with Cohort, you can just put them in the bin. So we're looking for Cohort targets now, and Brandon already has a Spin Doctor. So this is a great moment to just like put both of these agendas in archives and then put a Spin Doctor on the board to shuffle them back. So let's see if he does that. Yeah, so the Ikawa goes in the bin. AEC's powers that be. Now, I would expect him to probably pitch the off-world as well, because I think he needs a bit more time before he can start scoring. Like, he needs to see another ice, and all that good stuff. So, actually, he pitches the other Cohort. I guess that makes some amount of sense, because you scoring off-world as your first agenda, that's the best one to score early. Yeah, so probably I was wrong there. And he already has enough of a snowball economy here going with the double Cohort, unless I were to like trash both of these. And I mean, I don't know it. I could get in here easily with Propeller, but I'm not really aware. That's still a risky line for me. Again, there's MIC, there's Drafter, there is Gatekeeper. So risky for me to just be running these. So I think it makes sense. Brandon is pitching this actually. We weren't thinking about what the next click should be, because Brandon draws here click 1. And that is a little bit surprising to me. I'm wondering if, I guess if you Spin Doctor right away, you know that you won't get the Asa trigger. But let's see, he's on how many ice in this list? We got 15. So if you spend a click here to draw, then I feel like you're gambling too much on drawing. Just drawing the red card. Maybe he wants to save spin for later and not be forced to only shuffle in the Ikawa. Like maybe he wants to shuffle more agendas back. To me, intuitively, it seems a bit too much of a gamble to dig for like another ice right now. You have 12 left in R&D. So you have about a third, like 33% um, to see an ice. So I'd probably just install the spin and see what we get. If you get an ice on the spin, you could install that in front of the spin if you want, and then like fully up, and then not pop the spin until later. But so he draws. That's actually another way you can make use of the ID is installing upgrades. So now maybe we get spin with a skunk on it. That could make some sense. Oh, it's a powers that be. Nope. Yeah, it's the spin with the skunk. Okay, I think that makes sense. And then the powers that be. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, because he doesn't want to draw with the spin right away. Maybe doesn't want to reveal that this is a spin doctor. If it stays on the board for another turn, then I guess you can shuffle back another agenda. Yeah. I'm not sure if we need to go into more detail there. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong. In theory, if you rest the spin, you could see a better card that is more of a priority to install than the powers that be. But this way, you might be like baiting me into some runs on stuff that I don't want to be running right now. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm like, I should be starting to get rolling. Like at least should be popping soon, and yeah. Right, so I don't know Brandon's list. It's probably safe to assume that an upgrade is Maverus or Skunk, but I don't know if I was thinking too clearly at this point. But anyway, Coalescence Click 1 makes sense because we're going to see another card with the lily pad, and we want to be installing it anyway. So we get a card with that too. Yeah, so I think I go for a really aggressive line here that in retrospect I didn't really like. If you want to contest the skunk, you need to do it when you have 3 clicks left, or you have to pay like way too much money. Probably the best line is the price, and just setting up this turn. But I do something way more aggressive, I'm pretty sure. So I do play the price. And then we see Coalescence, DZMC, Muse, and Muse. I think the right line here is to just get the DZMC for the memory, which we might need later. And also it's probably going to pay off almost every single turn from now on. So I think it's worth it to get it this early. Instead, what I do is I get the Muse so that I can pop these environmental testings and contest the board. And yeah, given the fact I feel like it's a decent read that these are not agendas. So yeah, I'm not I'm not very convinced by this play. But this is what we do. So we get a whole bunch of cash. The thing about this is like, I guess there might be Malia, which could be a reason to pop these early. But beyond that, like we shouldn't be in a hurry to do these. These will pop eventually. And I think Malia is also a good target for the ace up we might be drawing. So, yeah. So now comes the really aggressive line that I don't like. So I end up actually like paying 5 for this skunk, which like, yeah, it doesn't feel good. I guess to be a little bit fair to me, I don't know if there's void in this list. So I guess I was trying to get rid of that before it gets reinforced. I think regardless, it's a bad play. yeah, the way like this list probably needs to deal with potential skunk void is to get Hannah and to get the turbine rig out. So I'm just getting it slower this way. Let me ask. I can answer some questions. Diogenes says, "How was the schedule for you when you played those games?" For me, it was very, very early in the morning. I think for me it was good. It was a good schedule. We started around, I think, 9 in the morning with the Swiss rounds, and I think I played Brandon around like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I guess you would say. So like yeah, so the schedule was good for me. Todd says, I think a cohort is a high priority trash though. Yeah, 100% it is if you can get to it. This deck has trouble getting to it early if it's behind ice. Mostly playing from the other side and feeling sad when I don't have cohorts. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's like it seems like a very good card. So that's where it says, were you even thinking about Malia before seeing the first one rest? I don't think I was in this game, to be honest. I don't think I was expecting Malia at all. I don't think I'd seen that in a ASA list for a while. So that was kind of hot tech. I think it's there mainly for crew and Banghar. But it hits my deck very well, actually. So, yeah, very, very nice include. Anyway, yeah, so here I'm kind of just cleaning the board. I think I'm like way too paranoid about the assets here. I think if I spent another turn just setting up here, I'd be like much better positioned in this game. So I trash that as well. And like running and trashing assets that have not been rest, it is like I'm spending a click and 3 credits to get rid of a click and a card. So it's like a pretty beneficial trade for the corp usually, if I'm just trashing like this. Yeah. Of course, like I don't want this to be on the table though. So like every one of these triggers might be worth more than that. So the alternative might be worse. I think the main mistake was the skunk run. So Brandon trashes. Oh, he trashes the off-world. Oh, that's... Wait, that's a bit shocking. Is that true? Maybe they undo this? No. Wow. That is surprising. Because they're like, he didn't know about this spin. So that's pretty crazy. But anyway, these cohorts are gaining crazy value. So this turn should be something like, maybe you install the spin and play the fully up to start with. You can draw some cards, get some money. You can ice it, so maybe you can shuffle back another agenda. Yeah, so there's the spin, you ice it. Now you have a very nice fully up. Yeah, so you probably draw once, and you probably don't want to overdraw too much. I guess you could overdraw one time if you want to get rid of the off-world now, but I don't think you have to. Yeah. Yeah, you just get the money and install the wage workers probably. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I think, yeah, my position is a little bit sad now. Because I think I wasted some gas on that last turn. I guess here I'm installing the cleaver just because I want it down and I want the lily pad draw. Yeah. I think it's probably a fair install. Because I'm developing some amount of rig. Installing another coalescence gives me money, but then I'm filling my board with more stuff that I can't use later on. So I really need like an ace up to get rid of all this stuff. And there finally I draw the ace up, which is good news. Yeah, so here I guess you could make a run and then install the ace up, or you just take a credit and install the ace up. I'm not sure which one is better, to be honest. You could argue like a one run is better value than a credit, but it looks like I'm going for the credit line. Right. So he's denying that lat draw, and we're resolving it by me putting back the card and shuffling. Vlad says it was early hours for Brandon. This match was played around 8 or 9 a.m. for him. Yeah, he did really well considering the time zone. The main mistake was not drawing the ace-ups as always. Yeah, true. In this game, I am seeing the ace-up late. If you look at the amount of cards I've seen, I've went through about half my deck before seeing an ace-up. So that can be considered bad luck. But I mean, that's going to happen, and I shouldn't be using that as an excuse not to make better decisions. So like, I think this, I think it's better to look at, like, I guess, what mistakes tip the game outside of your favor, or if a particular thing is what is tipping the game out of your favor. I think this game looks okay for me, even with seeing the ace up this late. I should have kind of just, I guess, been pushing harder to see it, rather than like contesting the board at that time. So you need to be very precise about when you're pushing and what you're spending money on. And I think here I was a little bit overzealous. Like, imagine I spend another turn, and before I start contesting, I get ace up and Hannah down, something like that. And now I'm like running things clicklessly. I have the clicks to pay through Managarm. I'm not paying $5 for it. You know, like, I'm improving my position before committing. The DZMC starts ticking in and giving me a credit every turn for the programs I will be installing. Yeah, I think yeah, these things add up. But anyway, Diogen says Ace of Blat. It's like Spark Kit in that way, a bit RNG dependent. Yeah, and Siat has like basically my answer is that the price is making such a big difference, because now we saw our first ace up about halfway through the deck, but we got through our deck incredibly fast because we were playing the price. So if you were playing the previous version, you wouldn't have this strong of a reach. You wouldn't be here, right? So you might spend 1 or 2 more turns before you see like the ace up. And that's just like, that situation would be so much worse than this. So this is why I think this deck is like doing so much better than the previous, or the previous attempts I had in this regard. Or it's way less swingy, because this improves your chances so much. So yeah, I love this include. I'm so happy about it. Because yeah, I think very realistically, I could be in a decent position here. And now I feel like I kind of made it worse for me than it needed to be. But anyway, okay. So we got the rest on the Spin Doctor to deny the draw. Yeah, so it's going to be Brandon's turn. And I think probably here pitching an agenda makes sense. I kind of like that because you have the spin. You can free up HQ. I'm not 100% because he's getting to the point where he can start scoring out probably. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this turn is something like you get off-world with an ice and maybe even another ice in front. And then you can use the cohorts and the wage to score that out very easily. You even have a seamless. And then maybe you actually want the other agenda in hand. So maybe the cohorts here just pitch a Mavericks. Actually, I think probably I prefer that line. Oh, wow. Oh, I did. Okay, I didn't expect that. It looks like he wants. So he's pitching the off-world. So it looks like he wants. He prefers the Vitruvius score early. It's a bit surprising to me, to be honest, but we'll see how it plays. Draws Malia. Oh, what a good draw. Yeah, so just now I've gotten the ace up down, but he has the Mali in time to deny it. And um, again, like if I'd not only does the ace up give me the money, but it also frees up my rig. That's another really important thing. Is like if you play these coalescence and stuff, it fills up and muse. It fills up your memory very quickly, and both the function to um, get the money from those cards to actually make them like positive value, um, and freeing up the memory are both important. And the Malia like disturbs both of that. Again, if I went if I was digging for this harder, I might have seen it like a turn earlier. Well, this seems like it can't be right. The Mavericks install. That's surprising to me. I would expect this to be Malia. Probably a misclick. No. Oh wow, interesting. I'm curious as to why this is the line. He might be expecting me to go very aggressive here and push the server, but I'm really not. So it might be like, okay, yeah. It looks like he's trying to make this look like he's scoring, and he wants me to overcommit. I think, but the truth is, I'm not quite yet in a position to be aggressive. Now he might not know that though. So like one of the previous lists had Entangler, and he isn't 100% sure what's in my list. So Malia Rest to deny the ace up makes sense. And this the powers that be is also like telegraphing that he's trying to score. Yeah, that was definitely rude. So now I need to find another copy of Aesop in these. So 20 cards, 2 copies of Aesop. I believe I get lucky here. Oh, so yeah, again, like I'm installing the breakers now because I'm running out of memory. Again, like the DZMC would help here. Not only would have discounted me stuff, but also helps with the memory issues here. We get the Lillipad draw. So I still think this makes sense. We're installing more breakers. We're not just filling our memory with stuff we can't use right now. Although this position isn't going to be good unless we get an Aesop. Or salvageable, I guess I should say, because now we're not in a good position. Yeah. Yeah, being without Aesop here is like terrible. And of course he shuffles back the off-worlds. So we have Conduit. I guess I'm probably planning on saving it for next turn so that he doesn't know how important it is to defend R&D. Revealing it last click here would give him an opportunity to ice R&D knowing that there's a Conduit coming. By doing it like this, we're not overly committing to a Conduit play. Yeah, so we can commit to the play when we know that there's no ice, and then we're going to see... I guess we're going to see... What is it? We're going to see 3 cards and charge it up. And then the Mavericks comes into play. Oh, did he decline to use the cohort? Well, that's also surprising to me. He really wants to keep this biotic. Huh. Yeah, again, I personally, I would probably always trigger these. Maybe too greedy, but yeah. So he draws. The Mavericks is a good target for cohorts, though. He draws. yeah, so now I feel like going for the off-world score makes sense, and I think this is what he does. You put it in service 7, you get the drafter in front, and you can score it so easily with the wage and the cohorts. Even if I trash the wage, you can score it with the cohorts. So it seems very nice. Okay, yeah, finally. And this Mavericks kind of looks like a skunk. Although I don't think I'm ever at this point running here, given my money situation. The drafter is most certainly going to fire. There's going to be a skunk there. Like maybe technically I could get in, like install a turbine, and then the gatekeeper is 4, and I have to pay 2 clicks. So I don't know. Maybe I could get in, but it's very expensive and risky. What is this? Oh, I'm simul-chipping. Yeah. So this is something I do sometimes when you get in these awkward spots where you don't have the memory to just be installing more programs really, and you're having a hard time trashing your coalescences. Sometimes the simul chips just act as a way to, like, basically it's plus 3 credits and it's a card. So it's kind of you're just digging further through your deck and getting some money at the same time. Yeah. I think here, yeah, probably it's just like my money situation is not that good. You could play Hannah and trash the wage. Might not be a terrible idea. You could play the testing and play the coalescence, then play the Hannah and attack the wage. Something like that might make sense. Just to slow this down a little bit, as him having a click left over makes a big difference. I might like a line like that, actually. The only thing is, I guess you don't get the... Oh, you do get the draw. So if you do environmental testing coalescence... you get the draw. You're at 5 cards. You can still play the Hannah and run the wage. Yeah, I guess I kind of like that line. You have a click left over, so maybe you just click for a credit. Another line is just like maybe slamming the conduit. But yeah, you're not in the best economic position. But that could slow him down enough, protecting R&D to stop the score for another turn as well. And maybe you don't need to trash the wage workers. Both of those lines seem kind of fine. So I go for the more conservative one. And I draw the Aesop. Oh yeah, so I guess at this point what I did is I play the Hannah, run the wage, and then get the Aesop down, which I kind of like. So I feel like I was lucky to see another Aesop in just like another 4 cards. That is actually pretty lucky. Although I guess at this point I kind of should have seen 2, but whatever, considering the position I was in. And now I'm more happy about my position. Like now things are actually starting to look more even in the game. I guess my headset died, but I don't know that I need the sound. It's fine, I guess. I'll try to manage without it, as long as I know that the sound is not too loud. Yeah, I think this way, if we see a score, I kind of like this line, because this way, if we see a score, we can slam the conduit and just run and kind of delay for a turn. We still see the same amount of cards. Yeah, I think I was thinking something like this. Now, the Mavericks double cohort combo. I guess I just removed the headset. The Mavericks double cohort combo gets you the score here. So this is a nasty little combo, and you can use the powers that be here, which is also bad news for me. So get the off-world. What do you install? Maybe you just get wage workers in server 5 here, actually. That seems very neat. Oh, he just wants to score the Vitruvius as fast as possible. Interesting. I guess I can see that. It's kind of putting a lot of pressure on me to trash this. I'm very incentivized to do that anyway, so I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I guess you just want to get this out of the way as soon as possible. Yeah, it's probably fair enough. Oh, and then you get the ablative as well. Yeah. So this turn, now we're finally getting an ace up trigger. It's very tempting this turn to slam the conduit and just click it and see 3 cards. It might... So if we do that, we don't really know about the Mavericks. I guess we've seen one. If we do that and we don't expect Mavericks, we expect him to have to ice R&D. And after slamming the conduit, we also know that we're going to have 2 bucks that we need to steal Ikawa, which is really important. Yeah. So this might be a turn where even though we think he might be able to trigger this powers that be, because this line really looks like an aggressive scoring line. If we use the conduit, we might just ignore that. I guess you can score this and install an ice from HQ. But then he needs to already have it, and he did draw a lot of ice. So I don't know. There's a question. I'm curious if you considered trying to trash the Malia the previous turn. I think probably not really, because I'm probably too scared of Drafter. I guess I'm actually also too scared of MIC. I guess you could run last click. But then, yeah, Drafter gets even worse. Gatekeeper might also be bad. Yeah, like I feel it's hard with this deck to apply pressure before the full rig is up. But yeah, likely here the line is something like conduit and then just checking 3 times, given what I know. And we get DJ. We don't want to install that right now. We see an agenda, which is really good news. And we dig again. So the hope here is that this play will force Brandon to take a turn off from scoring this Vitruvius, because the threat of this triple charge conduit is too big. Now, there is a Mavericks, and Brandon has money, so we have reason to be scared. But a nice turn, like we get the ace up trigger, we get another counter on the testing, so like pretty good so far. Okay. He's trashing the fully up, I guess, because he already has good, like, you kind of want to keep the seamless and the biotic. Seamless helps score an Ikoa potentially. Yeah, and biotic, I guess if you ever get to 6, the scoring out with the Vitruvius is really good. Okay. So yeah, maybe you don't need the fully up here. And maybe he just wants to dig for an ice. And this is what he does. So he sees the ice and he doesn't use the other cohort. Oh no, actually he just turns it face up, of course. Yeah. So you can score this. Yeah, this is a bit nasty actually, because with the ice in hand, you can just score this and defend R&D. Even have a click left over here. So I guess if I was in his shoes, drawing Ikawa here is also really good. So here you can score the Vitruvius, install a brand on R&D, and install the Ikawa in server 7. And then you have really good chances, especially because you even have both biotic and seamless launch. Yeah, like you're almost guaranteed to score this out next turn. So I think that is the line. You score this and get the brand on R&D, get the Ikawa and the remote. Oh, is this seamless? I think so. Definitely on the second click, I think the seamless makes sense to go to 4 because it doesn't cost more and you can always just get the seamless back. Maybe you're revealing some information, but you can always just get the seamless back. So that would make sense. But I feel like this seems too offensive, defensive. You can I think you just jam the Ikawa here. And I think I have a very tough time contesting. Maybe I can, but it's very awkward. You could almost make an argument for just getting the skunk back instead of putting the brand on R&D and then just hoping R&D holds. But of course, being in such a nice position as Brandon is, maybe you don't want to risk it. But actually, since there is Maverus, I don't think you're risking that much. If they go for R&D, you pop Maverus, and then they're just going to see like 3 cards. And then running the remote is like awkward, probably. I don't know. I guess I'll go to 5. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a killer. I could install the Muse. It's just awkward. Maybe I can get in. It just seems awkward. But yeah. Yeah, because I have to install the turbine. I definitely have to pop the environmental. So I guess I could do that and have to trash some stuff. So I go to 5. Then I have to trash a coalescence, get the Muse out, get a coalescence with this. That pops the environmental testing. And then play turbine. Then I go to 5. No, then it's just too many clicks. I mean, I guess I can run with Hannah. You go to 2 clicks. You run with Hannah. No, you need a click left over. I think it seems like, I don't know that I did the math there perfectly, but it seems like Brandon could just push here. Trat asked, how did he draw an Ikawa? Didn't we lock 3 on R&D? Ooh, we saw it and it couldn't steal because we had no clicks. I believe that's the case. Yeah, I remember knowing about this Ikawa. Let's see. Because he drew 2 cards and we stole... Did we trash any of those? I guess it must have been. So he's seen 2 more cards. I don't remember how the last one got rid of it. I believe that's what happened though. So Brand on R&D. Again, here I think still probably Ikawa. Ikawa still makes sense. But yeah, the Vitruvius gets 2 counters, so he can get back like infinite stuff here. He kind of just doesn't want to leak any agendas on R&D. It is a little bit risky though, because if I did see the Ikawa as I think I did, then I know that it's in HQ and it's a 50-50 to get it. Yeah. Although, actually, no, I remember this now. It's not, because you can use Vitruvius to get more cards. So, yeah, no. But still, I think pushing the Ikawa is right. Anyway, we get rid of Coalescence. And because there is nothing in the remote, it's kind of a no-brainer to push here. I guess I saw the brand too. And it's safe for me to assume that that's probably the ice, given how many ice he's drawn. And I know that if it's rest, I can get through it. Yeah. So then there's the question of paying. You can pay 4. I think here actually, if I remember correctly, I probably do this too. I can just click the Enderons, knowing that there's no ice in archives. And there's probably no ice in HQ either. Yeah, rather than paying 4. And that was correct. Like there's no yeah, that works. So now he's getting into a bit of an awkward spot here, because now maybe you have to pop the Mav, but now you're getting a little bit low on money. Although of course there's the 2 Vitruvius, and you can probably replenish a decent amount with fully op from the Vitruvius. So he does pop the Mab, thinking that this is a bit too many accesses to be giving me. I think that's probably right. So I see this. We have a click left over. And yeah, we can't get the Latra this turn. So one thing we could do here is draw. Or yeah, probably we draw here. It's either that or setting up for next turn in some way. Yeah, maybe I just draw. I install the turbine. So that charges the testing. I don't know what else it sets up for. I guess I can install the propeller next turn, get the lily pad draw, and pop the testing. And that's still like an ace-up target. It seems like a decent line. It allows me to continue running R&D a little bit. I think maybe I'm a bit desperate here, thinking that R&D is like my only win con. Because he's going to bounce back up on money with the cohorts. Oh, I didn't get the lily pad draw yet. No, that makes a lot of sense. Because we want this down anyway, and we get the lily pad draw. Yeah, so I guess I like it. So he's putting the Ikawa in the bin to be able to use these cohorts. Makes sense, because you can get them back with Vitruvius now. So I kind of like it. Did he draw? Yeah, he tried. That was a little bit confusing. He trashed a Hagen and then drew another Hagen with the other cohort. And this is also a bit sneaky, because yeah, if I have to run archives to force him to get the Ikawa back, and then I'm spending clicks, and then if I run HQ, he can pad HQ, and maybe I don't have the clicks to get the Ikawa. But anyway, so now he draws the Vitruvius. So one line is still to just jam the Ikawa, but I guess now the remote is feeling less secure. Assuming we always just ignore drafters, we can look at the list again. Yeah, if we can ignore the drafters, I don't know if I was thinking about this during the game. But he's at only $11. So let's say you get the Ikawa with the Vitruvius, you put it in the remote. and maybe you get like a fully op back, and then you play it and you get a bunch of money. Next turn, if I run this, like I can get the 3 from Aesop. I can install a symbol chip and get the environmental testing money, and the drafter will fire, but I will get into the server. So I understand Brandon being probably hesitant at this point to try to score this out, because if I contest next turn, I'm not even sacrificing that much except the drafter trigger. But that's not a big price to pay in the grand scheme of things, where I'm like, if I get 3 points, it actually doesn't matter. So I think in this situation, he's aiming... I can't remember, actually. There's 2 things you can do here. One is... I feel like maybe there's only one thing you can really do here. You could try to just start scoring out Vitruvius. So you go to $4. The Ikawa is not completely safe, but if I run Archives now, the conduit gets purged, and he can put the Ikawa back into hand, and then there's still a gatekeeper on HQ providing some defense, and you go to 6. So if you ever get back to 7 credits, you can get the biotic back with Vitruvius, and then if you have a 3-2, you can score out. But this is actually starting to look a bit awkward for him now, because he couldn't get the Ikawa scored. So let's see. So I guess he feels it's a bit awkward to dip that low. So he draws fully op. That seems like a decent draw. So he goes for the fully op. Draw. Oh, so now he sees the other Vitruvius. And at that point, this seems like a better plan to just score out both of Vitruvius. Because you have the money from the fully ops, and you know you can get the biotic back. And it feels risky to try to score the Ikawa. One issue for him is that this Ikawa... if I run Archives, he needs to get the Ikawa back, probably, into his hand. But then you can't get the biotic back, which is a little bit of an issue. The list is only on 1 biotic. Okay, so Vlad says... Game of Droid says you could muse the turbine from hand, maybe. That might leave you 2 poor. Yeah, and usually, like, if you muse something that isn't SMC or Coalescence onto the muse, you put yourself in a position where you're using up too much of your memory. Even if, like, it would be worth the 2 extra credits, it's often not worth the memory slots. So it's usually, like, a very last, kind of a desperate thing. Like, if you really, really need to, you go for it. And sometimes it is the right decision, and it's good. You should consider it. But, yeah. Often not a good idea. Yeah, that's exactly the case. The Ikawa was the 3rd card down on the last click run. Yes, it makes sense. I don't know, because I felt like... I thought he only drew 2 cards, so I don't know how he saw the Ikawa. I probably missed something there. The turbine still wasn't out, so Brand would be 8. Oh, that's true. So even worse. Yeah, definitely the correct thing to click through it. I mean, I couldn't afford to break that. But yeah, so was there bait in server 7? Mavers was in server 7 before. So probably because of this biotic line, I guess Brandon wants to maybe put some bait in server 7, like Nico. Or Malia. I think I remember actually what he does. But Malia on the environmental testing here is a good idea, because that stops me from having that money. I almost wonder if Malia server 5, now that you've seen it, using that under the environmental testing, I guess you would have to trash this one. Maybe you just put Malia in server 8 and you hit the environmental testing, or you hit the ASOP, probably the environmental testing, and then jamming Ikawa. Would that work? Because it puts me at very low credit total. So after the ASOPs, I'm at $4. And if the drafter fires, you get skunks back. I need 4 to break the gatekeeper. I need 1 to break the ablative. That's 5. I need 2 to steal the Ikawa. So I need 7 credits and a click. I suppose after I go to 4, I could install Simulchip, flicker a Coalescence to get it back, go to 7, and then Hana click, and then even with the skunk, I can click through it and steal the Ikawa. So like, yeah, I guess I still get in, but I also don't know if that's a line that I go for. Maybe I have to go for it to make sure he doesn't score an Ikawa. Yeah, so probably you put some bait on the board, and you put Malia on the environmental testing. So he goes for this line where he puts Malia in the big remote and then blanks the environmental testing. And at the time, I was kind of like, wait, why would you put that in this big remote? But it ensures, or it makes it way harder for me to get to it. So I get it. And then maybe Nico on server 5. Oh, actually not Nico on server 5. Hagen. But Hagen is just not very taxing. It doesn't seem worth it, except I am very poor. So maybe it is. That feels a bit wrong to me. I might try to bait a run here. Maybe get the money from the Nico. But yeah. Because if you rest this, you're no longer affording this biotic. I'd rather get something that gets me a bit more money along with the cohorts, and then you're more likely to be able to biotic out both of these. Okay. So what do I do from here? We of course use ASOP. Oh, okay. This is a bit too fast, but we ASOP something. And I guess I did end up drawing. But what are we thinking about here? We almost have a full board. I guess this Hagen could pretend to be a drafter. So it might still scare us, make us afraid of running here. From my perspective, this could also be another brand, and then maybe I'm thinking I need more money before I run. Still forcing the rest on a brand here is good. Let's say a brand is rest here. We could probably go and trash these. And if he goes that low on money, I think we're in a really good spot. But anyway, I'm probably thinking here that I need money. So, yeah. One line here could be to just play the Simulchip and pop it for a Coalescence right away. We get the money and we get the draw before we decide what to do. And we're thinking here that the Ikawa is likely in the bin as the runner. But we don't want the conduit to get purged. So how do we navigate this? Do we run here now and force this Ikawa to be put back if it is in the bin? Actually, I'm not sure if I was thinking this at the moment. Yeah. I know that... Yeah, running. Game of Droid says I missed it. What is Malia blanking right now? Aesop's. You can see it actually with this. Oh, I guess I should full screen this actually. This is Malia target. So the environmental testing with 3 counters. I don't think you run R&D with an extra ice there without a killer, or maybe not in a couple of turns if you do have it. Probably true. Drafter fire is probably bad. So I think this is like mostly a scare tactic, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point in general. I guess from my perspective here, I'm still scared of running into drafter. Running into a drafter here is probably less bad than it looks like from my perspective, because he has so many agendas that he needs to protect. Part of his plan needs to be scoring out with Biotic, and if he's spending money resing ice, it becomes harder and harder to do that. And he might not be able to keep the cohorts alive. But yeah, I don't know everything that's going on. Probably if I had like perfect knowledge of his list, it would be a bit easier. I guess considering that I don't know his list, I could still be scared of something like Ansel or whatever. But yeah, let's continue. So I decide to draw. I'm not sure why, but maybe you want to simul chip. Yeah, I was thinking you might want to simul chip first, because I think you need to do that anyway. But it's okay. So we're kind of drawing bad cards here. These are not helping. Maybe I was thinking I need more memory. Oh, actually, maybe I'm just digging for my killer. Like money and killer, maybe. Draw. Yeah. An issue here is because we don't have enough memory. We can't just get the Muse back with an SMC, because that's costing us 3 memory. So even if we get the, like, trash the coalescence, what we could do is we simul chip for a Muse, and then the Muse hosts the Boitada. Like, that actually works, but also it's not a very good setup, because again, we have filled out our memory. We can't play more programs without trashing something. And then Aesop like kind of wants to trash our breaker. So we don't love it. Yeah, so this draw is not good. I'm not convinced this is the right line. We might want to play here as if they're like, we don't care about killers. Because this line seems like sometimes if a line is too bad, sometimes if respecting an opponent's card is too leads to a very low chance of winning, you might consider just like acting as if it doesn't exist. Because then if it doesn't, you have like good chances instead. I think this might be one of those cases. And yeah, I guess we're running a little bit low on time as well in this game at this point. So we find the Boitata. We do install the Coalescence. I guess probably I was too scared of running, and we end up finding it. So now we're in like, we're happy to see this because we can. This is ideal because we have the memory for it now, and we're just using 5 slots in this case. But that was kind of lucky to just see what we needed immediately. So Brennan can use the cohorts to get up to enough money. He only uses 1, which I think is a little bit surprising given he has some money issues. But yeah, maybe he just wants to be at 14. It's still tricky for Brandon, again, just because of this Ikawa problem. But one thing to always keep in mind here is, and I think I probably was thinking about this. Well, no, maybe not at this point, but definitely he was thinking about it now. If he scores this Vitruvius and goes to 6, then if I steal the Ikawa, I'm only at 5. And that's 2 clicks. and this gets purged. So now I only have 2 clicks to find something on R&D. So maximum I can see 2 cards with Conduit. And that's probably an okay risk. Like, you don't want that risk, but there's only, what is it? There's only 1 off-world in R&D, and there's 2 Ikawas. So, yeah, the issue, if it's an Ikawa, I would need to find it on the first click. And that makes it very unlikely that I'm able to steal something. The off-world could be on the first or the second try, but still, yeah, and those odds are not that great. They're not super bad, because there's still 3 agendas left in R&D. But yeah, that's yeah, not ideal. Yeah, so I think from Brandon's perspective here, going for an aggressive line where you just score, get to 6, you're threatening to do it next turn. You might be okay actually giving up this Ikawa if I try to run it, so that you can get the Biotic back with the Vitruvius. That's like your main goal. Because it's probably, maybe you're only out now that the breakers are starting to hit the board. So he does go for that line. So that's scored. And, oh yeah, and you get the powers that be trigger, so you get this Mavericks install as well. Maybe I should have been using Hannah on this one. I'm not sure. I guess I probably wasn't really expecting the fast evidence. I was probably expecting him to have to try to score an Ikawa from the board. And so the powers that be fires wouldn't matter, because there would only be 1 score left in the game. Yeah. Like, if he scores the 3-pointer, then it ends. But yeah, okay. So after seeing this, alarm bells should be going off in your head. Like, oh my god, he's at $7. If he has a 3-2, he can score that from his hand, and he can get the Biotic back. What do I do? We know there's an Ikawa somewhere. It could be in HQ. It could be in Archives. Likely in Archives. If we run Archives first, we risk... Well, we don't risk. Then our conduit gets purged. So I think a reasonable line here is running R&D, and if we get points, maybe we run Archives. It's a bit tricky. I'm not sure I've thought this completely through. You could just try to dig as hard as possible on R&D. But again, yeah, there's Drafter and stuff. We are actually a bit scared of Drafter, I guess. Well, the thing is, though, any ice res, one thing to keep in mind here is any ice res means Biotic can't be used as long as we get rid of the cohorts. I don't know where the Rashidas went. Did they all get shuffled back? Because I was going to say you need to be a little bit worried about Ablative getting a Rashida back, which would then bounce the court back on money. Yeah. But if you dip to 4 and then the cohorts are being, like, I'm running the cohorts, then you can't Biotic next turn. So buy me another turn gives me better chance of winning. So yeah, the question is, like, how worried do I have to be about Drafter? And maybe the answer is not as much as I was thinking, because at least it buys me a turn. Of course, he can, like, fully op and stuff and get a bunch of money, but at least I survive for another turn. So it's not necessarily catastrophic. Yeah, I don't remember what I was thinking here. but probably something like, if I want to run archives. So one reasonable thought is, if he doesn't dress anything, he's at $7 and he can score out if he has a 3-2 in his hand. So one reasonable line could be running with conduit first to check R&D. And if we steal an agenda, we can check archives to force this to be used. If we get purged on archives and this is not used, we know that there's an agenda in HQ. And then we can run HQ to either get this or maybe get a potential 3-2 that is in HQ. Something like that kind of makes sense. You can also pop the Hana if you need extra clicks. So probably running with the conduit here makes sense. I guess there's a question if you slam the Boitara, but I don't know if you should. But let's see here what I do. So trash the coalescence. You get, if we install the Boitara, we are spending another click. And this might be a click intense turn. So in some lines, you will want to use Hana to run here. And I don't know if I was properly considering this turn. To like, go and trash one of the cohorts. You can always do that, then pop Hana, then trash another cohort. That's really important if an ice is rest. And I think in this game I actually neglect this, which you're about to see, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, the Boitara makes it so we're guaranteed to get into R&D no matter what. So let's say we run R&D, but after installing Boitara, then we only have 2 clicks. So if we see an Ikawa and we steal it, we would need to pop the Hana. Let's see. So we're at 2 clicks. We steal the Ikawa. We're at 1 click. We pop the Hana. We're at 2 clicks. Then we run archives. We're at 1 click. Yeah, so we're still threatening to steal the Ikawa then. And then if he returns the Ikawa to his hand, it works. But if the Ikawa is in HQ, then we don't have any clicks left over to run HQ. So there is a bit of risk in installing the Boitara. So you probably just conduit here right away. But I do install the Boitara. Again, I don't know the list perfectly. So, yeah. But I still think that probably this isn't right. So I get the Lily Pad draw. Oh, wow, I even sure gamble here. Yeah, I think I'm just not realizing how good my counterplay is if he reses an ice. If he reses an ice, Hana goes and gets these, and I think I'm completely forgetting about this fact. So there's no res. We break the Bran. Oh, and actually, oh, never mind. Oh yeah, now I remember, because I was like, how does this lead into the line I was thinking about? Because I know Brandon goes below 7, and this is because he's popping the Mavericks to make me see 1 card less. And I don't think this is the right line. And the reason why is because of what I said before. Like, if you do this, I can Hana a cohort, and even if you rest Tatubola, I could bounce on the Tatubola, pop the Hana, and then run the other cohort. And there's no way you're getting after I trash the cohort. There's no way you're getting up to 7. And so I buy another turn. So I don't think this Mavericks is worth it because it gives me another turn. And I don't think he can afford to give me another turn here. So I think you just need to let me see what's on R&D. And I'm very unlikely to win on this run. I probably need to pop the Hana and then go back in again and hope that within the top... Well, I guess within the top 3 cards, there's 2 agendas, and my odds aren't that good. So he should just let me in. But he goes for this Mavericks line. And here is my the mistake, though. So I said I can punish the cohort. I might have been thinking about this, but we were pretty short on time at this point. So I was stressed, and I was thinking I probably needed another turn. So I need to play this turn reasonably fast. And I think I was a little bit in autopilot mode. So I steal an Ikawa, which of course, that wrecks my ability to use the Hana. I can't go and get the cohorts. And of course he can bounce back to 8. So if he has the 3-2, he just wins. Now, I guess I partially was hoping that he just didn't have the 3-2, but this is simply the wrong line. I should let him draw the Ikawa and instead go and trash these cohorts so that the biotic can't be used next turn. And then I'm in a really good position. I think maybe he would have had about a minute or so to play his turn. It's possible it would go to time, but then I still have 1 turn left. Yeah. So definitely a mistake. That's sort of like in a heat of the moment. So maybe the lesson we can take away from that is don't just auto do things. Even if it's stressful, try to keep a cool head. That's very much easier said than done. Yeah. So that's it was like a very interesting turn, I think, and I think I misplayed it. Yeah. But yeah. So now, of course, he just scores the Vitruvius, and it's GG. And I'm like, oh, of course, I should have been trashing those cohorts. You live and you learn. But anyway, I think in my opinion, that's a really cool game. Them going through it, there's like a lot of stuff in those lines. A few mistakes on both sides, I think. Some stuff where it was fuzzy, where I guess I wasn't sure what was right and what wasn't. But a bit of a tricky game, and definitely early on making some mistakes there put me in a worse position later. And then I think maybe some mistakes from Brandon made it so I could perhaps get it back in the game a bit again. Very kind of back and forth game. And Holzpub Pub and Sub says the complexity of this turn. Yeah. Yes. Yes, yeah, exactly. So I think it was quite a cool game, like the considerations you have to make on these turns. Netrunner hard lol. Yes. Oh, well, that happens if you don't have 20 minutes to plan your turn, I guess. Yeah, it can happen for sure. Yeah, it's fine. It was a shame to mess up there at the end. Because I think I partially planned to use Hana for stuff, and as soon as I saw the Echo, I kind of like just instinctually stole it. Because I was like, oh, an agenda, great, like this gets me further to winning the game, but like sometimes playing the more controlling line is better, and this is definitely one of those cases. Because like, what does he do if he's at $4 on his next turn, and there's a Vitruvius in hand, an Ikawa in archives, and another Ikawa in hand. Yeah, I guess maybe that turn is still tricky. Actually, I'm not 100%. But yeah, like if we weren't going to time, then 100% that line is right. Considering that you are going to time, it's not clear if you'll be able to steal enough points on the upcoming turn, because you actually need to get to 7. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. But cool game. I have another game coming up. I guess let me answer this question by Diogen first. That's the Tradon games. I think it's gonna be less of a mess. I hope we will see. But I need to take a little break first. So I'll be right back. Just 1 or 2 minutes. Daijin says, do you think it could be a consideration for deck building, hard to pilot deck when tired versus near autopilot, depending on the tournament? I think this used to be more of a consideration when you were playing both sides. Yeah, but I don't think that necessarily this is that my deck is hard to pilot, but I guess to answer the question in general is like, yeah, you should evaluate how taxing it is, I guess, on you mentally if you feel you can get through an entire tournament with it. Typically, when I'm playing like competitively, I would just pick the stuff that I think is best and then try to practice it enough so that I can play it. But there's all kinds of issues you can run into, like when playing both sides. If you have a deck that people tend to take a lot of time against, like because there's some slow decks where you can learn to play them very fast, but if there's a lot of turns and your opponent is taking like 1 minute per turn, then it probably goes to time anyway. That is less of a consideration now, actually, because now we're doing more single-sided Swiss. So you only need to think about the time you're spending on one game, which I really like. So it means that for your slow deck, you know that you will always have like 40 minutes for it, whereas before maybe you got like 25 because your first game took a lot of time, and I didn't really like that dynamic. But yeah, as for like complexity of decks, I think it's probably like I think use your knowledge of yourself. I guess if you think that this is going to be too taxing for you in a long tournament of multiple rounds, then it might not be a good idea. Personally, I like to just pick what I think is the strongest. But yeah, if you have two very slow like decks that take a lot of time to win the game, it can be a problem. Or maybe two decks that are very taxing for your brain, that can also be a problem. Yeah, it always helps to have a lot of reps with your decks. If you play them a lot, then even the ones that are complex become simpler when you've played them a lot, because you have much more of an instinct of what to do in different situations. Okay, I'll be right back with the game against Tradon. So that's going to be the Rain of Arrows, Spicy BTL versus Turan's Ragas Hoshiko. So yeah, we'll see soon in like a minute or so. All right, we are back. Let me get the chat open. Okay, so the next game for today that we're looking at, and the final CBI game, maybe we'll throw one Asmari live game in there as well. But the next game we're looking at is a matchup that my corp should really like in theory. When I was talking about this on stream, one of the big problems is runners being able to get in really early. And getting in really early makes it hard to score Eminent Domain, which is how this deck snowballs. It also means maybe they can trash your Tucana. So yeah, ideally you want to get like Tucana and Eminent Domain rolling as soon as possible. So I was very happy to see that I was going to be up against a very reg Hoshiko. But I guess the endearing term is like thick Hoshiko. It's 50 cards, a bit bigger. And that also helps me. I think it being a Keiko build helps a bit. Like Maw, I think, versus these decks that maybe can go a bit slower, can be a bit harder to deal with, potentially. Trashing like agendas out of HQ and stuff from servers that you haven't defended yet. It can be a bit annoying. And also, being at 50 cards means that it can actually take a decent amount of time before you get your breakers. Now, of course, it's 5 more cards than 45, but it adds a little bit of time to getting all your breakers out, which is an upside. This is running 50, I guess, because you have Bankar. So you have more HP, so to speak, before you run out of cards, and you have the price. But yeah, it means finding these should be a little bit harder, I think. So I get a bit more time before there's full breaker setup, making it easier for me to exploit one breaker missing. The only tricks I need to worry about are Bankar and Boomerang. So very, very reg-ass Hoshiko. I do need to be a little bit careful that there's finality in this list. So maybe I prioritize putting like border controls on R&D and that kind of stuff. And also there's 3 pinhole, which definitely matters in this matchup because, I mean, I have Oberth, I have Tucana, I have Biovault, I have a bunch of cards that you would like to pinhole. So that's also something for me to keep in mind. Is that maybe I can't like rely as much on these as I want, but I should have an easier time scoring Eminent Domain. So I was feeling optimistic going into this game. So let's find it to run. And perhaps we can go through this a little bit quicker. And yeah, just to be clear, like I got I got permission from these people to to show the games, just so you know. I wanted to be sure that they're comfortable having this on stream. Sometimes like people don't feel comfortable for whatever reason. Okay, so let's look at these. The Hoshiko opener, the good thing about it is that you have Keiko, which is nice to get rolling early, and you only have 2 copies in a 50 card deck. So that could be a reason to keep. Like, what is the... you have 2 Paladin and 1 Taka. Yeah, so it's... I guess you don't have that many companions. There's maybe a bit exploitable too, is that... I guess you don't need that much memory, actually. Yeah, so the Keiko is not... That's kind of neat with this Hoshiko. You don't necessarily need the extra memory. But anyway, the rest of the hand doesn't look that great. I mean, the pinhole and the buzzsaw you don't really want to use early. You don't have any money. But the Keiko is kind of nice if you can find a companion. Although you need to find... Yeah, there's 3 copies, and Taka is hard to make use of early. So I would argue probably this is a mulligan. My hand is not great because it doesn't have anything that accelerates me early, and it doesn't have any money. Um, and also, like, I can't make use of the archer right away. The surveyor is not great right away. So I think both of these are mulligans. So I mulligan. Turon keeps. Okay. So I guess Turon values the Keiko more than I would have expected. Yeah, because I feel like this is a bit of a slow hand. Let's look at the. There is, in terms of economy, raindrops, strike, frontier, gamble, daily cast. Well, okay, I guess there's like no dirty laundry. There's only raindrops. So I guess I can see why the Keiko is more important here. Maybe, yeah, I can see it a little bit more if it was a list that had more burst economy, like dirty laundry or whatever. Makes it this I can see it a little bit more in this list that you would want the Keiko, because if you do, you might want to try to high roll it and really try to get the paladin down early, if like luck into that, and then you have like a pretty solid drip going. And Vlad says, maybe if Turan reads you're on a slower BTL, he can take a slow start himself. Yeah, that's a good point too, because then you secure the early Keiko, and then, you know... Oh, actually, no. Good. It was a good point, but this was actually a cut game. So Turan knows my list. And I guess this list is way less slow than Sokka's BTL in terms of like how quickly you need to contest it. I would argue. Yeah, I get a much better hand. Turon's hand will, I think, will become good if you get Paladin out. Yeah, but ideally with this Hoshiko, it seems like you want like Fermenter, Sure Gamble, Daily Cast early, and then you can make use of your draw. Yeah, so one question against Hoshiko is sometimes if you want to try to deny the Hoshiko draw, the Hoshiko flip, and then you can do something like install Winchester HQ, install Message Chef's R&D, advance it. And then if they want the draw, they need to like face check a Message Chef's foe. But I guess they would run the Winchester first, and that's not something we want to res. So probably the hedge and protecting centrals makes sense here. Oh, actually, I go for this. Yeah, I guess you can flip, but you flip on HQ. Yeah, I don't know that this makes sense. Like if I go for the hedge fund line, the access is on archives instead, which just seems better for me. So yeah, I don't know that this line is right, but yeah. Yeah, because I don't rest here because I want to have the ability to rest this. And also this telegraphs that this is a Message Chessfo, so I don't like this from me actually. But okay, border control accessed. And again, like you give more information. Now Turan can write down that there's a border control. So the price is played. I don't know if you want to install the Keiko first to make sure you get this credit, but yeah. Boomerang is installed. It's the only installable there. Yeah. Oh, but Turan changes his mind and goes for the HQ ice. And then Keiko. You want to get the credits, and then next turn if you install a companion, you get that credit too. Yeah, I almost forgot that you get it on installs as well. That's important. Yeah, so we got the Biovault. Yeah, probably this turn is something like Hedge, Spin Doctor, border control in front of the Spin Doctor, something like that. Yeah. Um, we're just developing the remote, maybe hoping this gets face checked. And we can delay the draw until next turn. Oh, whoops. Get the Hoshiko draw. Taka. Yeah, so the Taka, this is a bit uncomfortable because you would like to have the moshing. You get the twinning, which is nice, but you can't charge it until you get Paladin. Um, yeah, this seems like a bit of trouble for this deck. That I think it seems like, there's some synergy here with Keiko, the twinning, and the companions, but only two of the companions can be used before you have your breakers out. Really, you can like install a breaker and run like a random server, but they're all too expensive to boost for that to make sense. If you had one that only cost like 1 credit, then you could still charge this, get the Keiko credit, and make use of Taka. So it's a little bit awkward. So I think this start here from Turan is going to be a bit slow. Oh, and actually, I didn't even think about this aspect, but this actually baits a pinhole, which is perfect. So now I just res this, and you don't really want to trash this as Turan because, I mean, Hoshiko is going to stay on this flipped side, and you're going down pretty low on credits. You were really hoping that this was a Rashida. So this is great for me, especially because it means there's no pinhole for the actual good upgrade that I will be installing later on. And then twinning is installed. It seems a bit early for me to install this because like this isn't gonna do a lot until the Paladin is down. I think you're still quite a way away from the Taka being usable here. So I'd probably keep this in hand. Like one nice thing about this is you go to 0 and then you get the Hosh draw for free. So I guess I can see it a little bit, yeah. But it is awkward that turn needs to go so low. Although you do have a strike fund to bounce you back to 4, so I guess it's okay. So we get to Kana. I think we need to draw here because we have Tukana and like SDS, so we can't we have nothing we can score with the Tukana, and we can't really make use of it. So we're drawing, and it's Eminent Domain, and now we're getting really excited because Turan is really low on money, and the only way to contest here, we know that the Boomerang is on Winchester, we know that there's no Bankar, so the only thing that gets in here is Cleaver, but Cleaver is 3 credits. So Turan would need to go credit, strike fund, Cleaver, click 3, run server 1, click 4. But then like even in that case, actually, you could just pop the border control after breaking and you still get the Eminent Tukana trigger. And that's worst case scenario. In best case, we keep the border control and we get the triggers. So here you just go for the aggressive line because, because this Turan has trouble getting in this way early, and we already know this is spent. This is like a great line. We do shuffle it back the hedge because we want that early game money. So early, I think Turan just needs to take an off turn here and plays labor rights. I guess hoping to get back some pieces that help here. Maybe some economy. Moshing would be good here. So I guess Moshing gets shuffled back. Yeah, strike fund Moshing and the price. Yeah, just stuff to get through the deck. And then here you can probably credit and play a Fermenter. Oh. Yeah, I mean, you would have to credit again next turn to play the strike fund. But I still think getting the Fermenter down is nice. So we are a bit lucky in that we are drawing a lot of the archers, but we still have a third archer to get from our deck. So we can score this out. And then a very typical line is getting the Winchester on HQ, and I think that makes sense here. Yeah, you get the Winchester here. Make sure HQ is well protected, so we keep all the agendas we have here, hopefully. And also it means we don't necessarily need to rest this Winchester. And we have 5 credits to still rest the ISO R&D, which is important. So we get this to protect the Tucana. So things are really looking good. Like, this is a great start. We just need a bit of money, and then we can continue rolling. So let's see. Seat says, Holzbub says this is a more defensive turn 1 than I would have thought, but if you have Eminent, you try to push turn 1 versus Anarch, right? It depends. If you're up against this kind of Anarch, I think it depends on the list. Maybe if you're up against a Reg Anarch that has like 2 boomerangs, you may be more careful, because if they have 2 boomerangs, there might be something like, well, not only do you risk getting boomerang turn 1, but you also risk, like, let's say they raindrops your remote, you have to rest a border control, and you put an Eminent behind it. You also risk them drawing into the right breaker and just installing it. So if they have like 2 boomerang and 2 cleaver, and they're a 45 card deck, seeing one of those isn't that unlikely. So I think it depends on the build. Sometimes you might want to have 2 ice. I think in general, yes, you try to push turn 1, except if the matchup is just like, it's just really hard for that to pan out, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so we have Steelskin. Actually, yeah, Steelskin makes sense. And this is a bit awkward, because you want to get the sure gamble, but if you click for credit and play, you have to discard something. I guess the no one home isn't that important. This is actually funny, because one thing I didn't think about, but this is actually important, is the Spin Doctor shuffled back the only card in archives. So if you want to get a Hoshiko flip, you need to run R&D, but you don't want to do that, because then you get hit with Message Chesvo. So it's a bit awkward, because to run is like, the setup is a bit clunky. I think that this is the big deck doing this. You probably want to get the fermenter rolling. So I think something like a credit fermenter here makes sense. And then you credit like sure gamble next turn, perhaps. But Turan plays another Steelskin. Yeah, it seems a bit too ambitious. You do have some dead draws to discard. But it is too ambitious, I think. So the price, finality, Mamie. Never mind. I think I missed that there's a Mamie in the list. Oh yeah, there's 2 Mamie. Never mind then. Like, I definitely understand then why there was a keep on turn 1. I thought there was only Paladin and Taka. Okay. So Banghar gets installed, and the Strike Fund gets milled, which is really nice for Turan. I feel like, though, installing the Mamie here makes more sense. It helps with the gamble in hand, and it means we can start triggering this Keiko every turn. Yes, I'm a little bit surprised by that, but I guess here you go for Fermenter, and then you can pitch No One Home and the extra Buzzsaw. Oh, okay, daily casts. Thing is, like, yeah, getting Fermenter down early is so good, especially against a deck without Mavers. I think, yeah, it just gets to like a ridiculous value point, and then you can pop it for $1 billion. So I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. I guess this turn I find that I have nothing better to do than double advance a Biovault. Maybe I'm hoping to bait a run here or something. I'm not sure. Or maybe I'm thinking Finality is the only way I can lose, but Finality also got milled, so I don't need Biovault for that. Um, I think this is just the most efficient thing I could do with the cards I had in hand that turn. If you do something else, you have to draw, and if you're drawing, you don't know what you're getting. So you don't know what the turn will be. But I know that this is something that's useful. So kind of makes sense to develop the Biovault. Bank on R&D, pinhole drawn. Yeah, again, I don't like this. So if you had Mamie here, it would have 1 credit, and you can like credit gamble, and you can use it, and you can put the fermenter down. And I think you need to get like the drip down, and then you continue to draw. But okay, Turan is drawing. Yeah, this is really awkward because the Taka is a bit sad. So I guess from here maybe you get the daily cast down. So this pinhole is played with only 1 credit left, so I don't have to worry about the Biovault getting trashed. And it kind of makes sense because I guess this is partially also why the Biovault play is nice, because it looks like it might be a 5-3. And with this, Turan is getting rid of the Tucana. With 1 credit left, I don't need to worry about trying to the Biovault getting trashed. So I know Tucana is the target. I probably wouldn't Biovault. Sometimes you Biovault to keep the Tucana, but here I definitely don't because I have another one in hand. And then Turan draws again. I guess at this point, wow. So you're probably gonna lose the Taka here, which is unfortunate. And then, yeah, the thing is, I don't like the drawing here because I feel like you need to pitch pieces that are actually important. So at this point, I don't know what to get rid of. Like maybe now you have to get rid of the fermenter. I think the turbine you want against this ice, and maybe you get rid of the daily cast or the sure gamble. Yeah, fermenter, sure gamble. Yeah, it's just been like a very unfortunate game for Turan this far. So the Taka gets trashed. We draw another Tucana, which which is not good, but we're doing well. I think here we just need to dig for better cards because this stuff is not really helping us a lot. And again, like we do what we can with the cards we're dealt. So I just install another Mystic Chessful, and I can pitch a Tucana here because we're not using it. And we're hoping, to get an NGO or something, getting a bit of money so that we can actually like comfortably start scoring. We don't want to start scoring in like a dip below an amount where we cannot defend our servers anymore. So that's why we really want the NGOs. Oh, I kind of missed here what Turan. So Turan gets. Oh, that's actually another nice thing about the pinhole is it flips Hoshiko. So you get the draw. After drawing the Mamie, I wonder if you go Paladin, Mamie, credit. But Turan goes for this, and then maybe Paladin now. I kind of like the Paladin Mamie because this starts the drip, and then you can maybe use get the Keiko trigger with the Paladin on the daily cast next turn. We draw another ice. Like we're not really drawing the stuff that we want at this moment. We don't really want to be installing another ice. Like maybe we can install this on archives and advance it to make it so Hoshiko doesn't flip. I'm not a huge fan, but maybe that's what I go for here. Because yeah, at least it taxes the Hoshiko a bit. Oh, okay. After drawing the standoff, Probably makes sense to go for Tucana standoff in the remote. Actually, you do dip with the Tucana res. You do dip a bit low, so it's not like 100% the greatest play ever. Yeah. So I just advance it for now. So that way you can stay flexible. You can still go for the Tucana next turn if you want. But I guess the idea is here you take it a bit slower, and then maybe you draw some economy, and then you can score the standoff with the Tucana later. So it says, with this list, any ice ERES turn 1 prevents the score on turn 2 unless you hedged or Hortum advanced. Oh, never mind, we're BTL. Yeah, exactly. As long as it's a 4-cost rest, we can still score the Eminent. But also holding off the score until drawing a Tucana makes a lot of sense often. Yeah, in some cases, I think getting an Eminent scored is really good because it's curious whatever you're trying to do later. Yeah, Banker is just Sag on this board. All ice rest are too many subs, and running R&D is just not too enticing. Yeah, because like Banker gets you past the Mesny, you still lose the 2 cards, but you also lose 3 credits, which is important. Although I am kind of broke right now, so running R&D now is probably makes sense. Speaking of which, yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, I guess okay, running. Yeah, I don't know. R&D Banker might be good here. You could even to play around Messenchef, so you could even install something and then run to make sure you can't lose $3. Okay, so let's continue. So yeah, so we have Banker and HQ. I think Banker R&D again might make sense. You don't really want to lose the cards you have in HQ. I guess it's hard to afford losing these is another problem because you already lost 1 Buzzsaw. So if you lose the other Buzzsaw, you need to like labor rights it back or DJ Fenris it back, and that's not great. So yeah, I guess you're too afraid to use Banker at this point, so you kind of just have to chill. So I think here you draw, which Turon did. You run Archives, and then you install the Mamie and the Daily Cast. And that is what we see, so I agree with that. Now we get a Spin Doctor. So maybe that's an opportunity to dig for some more economy. I think that's the right line. And finally, we get an NGO front. So now we can install this and advance it. And we're okay with pitching this SDS. Another thing that this does, the spin, is it allows us to shuffle back an Archer for when we get Eminent Domain, which I like. Or we could do it with the standoff, just score standoff and forfeit. So we do pitch a Surveyor because we have 2 of them, and we're not likely to install any of them right now, to be honest. But we still have one if we need it. So we see a draw here. Again, you're a bit scared to lose the Buzzsaw, so you probably want to install this before you go for like Raindrops or something like that. The price for Fermenter. Probably makes sense to dig through your deck. You do have DJ, and that's a good target, and you want to dig for that, I think. So now there's a Fermenter, there's an Echelon. Clicks for credit, but I think, yeah, I think probably we should just draw for card, just like dig further. But anyway, we draw an NGO. So now the question is, like, we can go even higher on money now. Install advance on this means there's a few ways to do this. So if you install the Tucana, res it, we go to 5, we go to 4 with the standoff, but we have 5 extra. So technically we have 9. then I'm not sure what we get with the Tucana. Maybe something like maybe a border control and archives for pinholes. But actually, all the pinholes are gone, so I don't know that we need it. Um, Maybe it's just like another archer on the remote, and then we forfeit the standoff. Actually, something like that, and that would cost us. We would get a discount of 3, so it would cost us 3, and then effectively we have 6 credits, and then we can still rest stuff here. So maybe this is the time to go for the Tucana. Looks like I'm going for that. Oh, I'm advancing this first. And we're shuffling back the archer. Yeah, so this makes sense. So we have 2 more credits because we advanced the NGO. And so we're at a pretty comfortable... Oh, I think I messed up the standoff trigger here. The standoff triggers... if you forfeit it, I don't before before it triggers, I don't believe it triggers, and this is what happened here. And Turan allows me to undo that, which is nice. I probably am allowed by the rules to undo it, but yeah, regardless, it's nice. Oh, I guess I changed my mind here. Interesting. I don't know if it makes sense, but we haven't seen any cleavers. If cleaver gets slammed here, the remote can be pressured. So let's say there's cleaver and bank car on this. You would force a pop on the Biovault or the border controls. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this. I guess what I'm thinking is if I just survive for 1 more turn here, I can actually just put the archer on server 1 and then like install advanced NGO, and I'm good on money. The remote is protected, but also R&D is more secure. Because now going through R&D, you would need Buzzsaw to get through Mesnichesvo. So I guess, yeah, I guess it's a fine play. Now the rig is coming together for Turan. Finally, you can make use of Bankar. Oh, and there's raindrops. I think yeah, I guess you want the flip here. But this is probably not the best time to use raindrops. I'm not sure. Like you could maybe flip Hoshiko on archives and you get a card next turn, and perhaps you can get like 3 cards out of the raindrops. Perhaps you even get the DJ down before you do it. But it's also getting a bit stressful for the runner here. Yeah, so this is because the Winchester you don't want. I don't think you want these subs to fire. Yeah, so they're all broken. So that doesn't add to the raindrops. Because you can sweep HQ here, and it is a bit lucky actually here. Turan misses the SDS. That's a big deal. It means I'll likely be the one to score this. Losing the NGO hurts. I guess actually I take it back. Like pushing HQ in that situation. Maybe it's a good time, because there's likely to be an agenda there before I like put it in the remote where it's a bit harder to get to, or maybe impossible to get to even. Okay. And draws last click. So now there's DJ. But HQ, HQ is actually only 6 credits now with the turbine. Which is, I mean, it's still a tax, but it's not prohibitively expensive. So we get Rashida. Probably something like Rashida credit here. It makes sense. Or maybe if we're feeling frisky, Rashida credit Archer, but then we dip too low, I think. So probably Rashida credit. Yep, that's what we go for. Yeah, so Hoshiko trigger, the cleaver is finally found. So you can see how with a 50 card deck, sometimes it takes like forever to find your breakers. Bagmari on server 1. But you can't really afford to break this, and Bagmari right now isn't really an option. I'm not sure why Turan is clicking for money here. I think you should draw to max hand size. Oh, whoops. Let's go here. I don't know what I did to highlight this ID, but yeah, I don't know. Let's roll with it. So Rashida flips, pops, I mean. So this is a good opportunity to, we want to score this Eminent, I think. We get an Archer for free, which is really good. And we want to do it with Oberth. But we also want to secure it. So we probably want to put it in the remote this turn. We probably also want to put the Oberth in the remote. And then I guess the question is, do we put another Archer in front already? I don't know. I don't remember what I was thinking about here. But I think Eminent, Oberth, and then Archer on the remote kind of makes sense. Although you do go a little bit low on money. But you make sure the Eminent is not cheap to get to. And then if you score the Eminent, maybe you reinforce HQ with an Archer. Only thing is, you don't have that much money to rest ice on R&D, so I'm a bit worried about that. Oh, actually, yeah, another line is Oberth and Geo. You rest the Oberth. And you advance the NGO and you get a bunch of money. Lets you rest on R&D. But yeah, like I'm wondering, how do we do this without just giving free access as an R&D? Because we kind of want to res these. Yeah, probably what makes the most sense is the Oberth play. If we can do that, we still risk the Eminent getting sniped out of HQ. The worst thing is if Turan gets 2 counters on this and snipes both the agendas, that would be really bad. A bit unlikely to get both. Actually, I draw. No, this is Mando. Oh. Then I guess it changes things a bit. But I think I still go for this. Oh, I guess I go for something different. Oh, okay. No, I like this line. Yeah, sometimes it's harder to think if you're not in the game, but I like this. This secures the Eminent. It sets up an Oberth play for next turn. We still have money to rest 1 Mesnich Chesvo. If we get this rest, we can get like an Archer on R&D. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Good play by me. if I do say so myself. So DJ for Bagmari. Just running normally, but seems like you would want to charge the twinning first So I wonder about that. Like, why not cleaver and then run HQ? That seems better. Because the amount of cards is actually access is actually crucial here. But maybe to run intends not to multi-access. No, to run does multi-access. Okay. Yeah, I think maybe that was just a little bit of an oversight. Oberth trashed, NGO trashed. Draws a card. Actually, what did we get back? Oh, it was Taka and labor rights. So I guess I gave Taka back because labor rights will allow for basically anything to get back pretty soon. But yeah, this is still okay. So now we can score Eminent, and then the question is... I guess the SDS isn't as important to protect. One program needs to be given up. So I think you score the Eminent here, put an Archer on R&D probably, and then you put Rashida in the remote. Oh, and even this, if you get Pinhole back with this, I guess border control here makes sense. So you need to Pinhole like maybe HQ. Oh, I go for SDS. Like I'm not even predicting my own plays. Huh, I was thinking Rashida. How does this work? I guess, well, okay. It makes some amount of sense. I think I'm underestimating the value of an SDS score. If we trash the turbine, then it's essentially game over. Like all the breakers become so bad. So I can sort of like advance, credit next turn, still be on 6. And it's really hard to get through, actually. Yeah, so does it make sense when I think about it? I think it's just now when I'm talking, I'm not thinking through the lines as clearly as when I was playing and super into the game. So it makes sense. If you run through the Archer, you pay a whole bunch, there's another Archer, and then there's a Biovault. There's so much you need to get through there. So it's a big tax. And even if you... Yeah, I'm even okay with losing the SDS, I think. And if it's scored, you trash the turbine and all the breakers are really bad. So yeah, I like this. So we draw Moshing. Server 1 with Banghar. So it allows some pressure, but the run is on HQ. I guess it kind of pays for itself. I mean, you're paying 6 credits, but you can get Sure Gamble back. And you can get some accesses. Yeah, the thing is, at this point, it might be too late. And I think this was the right line. So going for the agendas earlier probably made sense. Oh, I forgot about Taka. So that, of course, makes it even better to run here. Yeah, at least now to run knows that there's like no agendas in the hand. There could be one, I guess, in theory. And this was kind of maybe a bit lucky that... Yeah, because it could matter if this gets stolen or whether this that gets stolen or scored. The Rashida kind of gets you cards and money back afterwards. And just value raindrops here. And then raindrops into Sure Gamble probably. Oh no, Cleaver. And you can pitch Bankar. So now I think it's just advance, credit. And this lines up an SDS score, killing the turbine. So now Turan is in a very awkward spot. Yeah, so popping this, does popping this make sense? If you pop this, you can get into R&D. That's the one line you have. Actually, it might make sense to just put Bankar on R&D, take the 4 net from Archer, break this for 1, and you're threatening to access 2 cards, and if you're lucky, there's agendas there. And I probably don't res. Because I want to be able to trash this. It's a bit interesting, actually. Do I rest there? The message chessboard isn't that taxing, actually. I probably just allow the accesses, trash the turbine, and then install Rashida later to go back. So Turan can still win by getting the right accesses on R&D, but needs to have better luck than me in that case. So pressuring here, yeah, so Archer is very expensive to break, so using Banhart to get through the first one, then it's 7 to break the other one, and then I buy a vault. So you can't really get in here. Oh, actually, yeah, I forgot about this. Yes, you can. Okay, nice. So probably a good choice by Turan, because Turan has a bunch of drip. You can always get stuff back. Although, well, I guess that is the problem, is both the labor rights are gone. There is DJ. You have all this drip, but all of this drip except Taka requires you to have something to use it for. And so I think from this position, Turan just doesn't have much of a... like, the companions are hard to use. And... yeah, and also Cleaver was sacked here, so there's no barrier breaker. So it's a tricky position. So I double advance this. I guess technically... no, yeah, so here's another problem. Yeah, Banhard can't just get past Archer with net damage anymore, because you only have 3 cards left. So this is actually a safe score. So draw, strike fund, runs HQ. Tries to twinning this, but I think at this point you have to save your twinning counters for R&D. It's very unlikely that the agendas are in HQ. So save them for R&D. I figure try to get to a point where you can get in, maybe. Is that impossible? I don't think that's impossible. There's a few more turns left. Yeah. If you charge it up, like you can maybe click it up enough credits that you can do this. You just need to snipe like 2 agendas, and they should be building up in R&D at this point. So now I can score this. The question here is, what do you res? The funny thing is I just drew the SDS. So because there's a fresh card in HQ, it might make sense for Turan to run here and check this. If there's a run on R&D, I realize there's not going to be a run on R&D because the Archer is too hard to get through. The border control probably stops you on the remote, but you could rest that to make it like 100%. Because I guess if you spend 2 turns clicking for credits, you can get through these. Yeah. So the border control is rest. And now it's a matter of, does Turan run here and find the SDS? And if not, can Turan find the last points on R&D? Yeah, so this... Oh yeah, this turn Turan is letting me fire trashing the hardware because it doesn't matter that much anymore. Actually, it does matter a bit. It does give the Taka credits. So I figured you would want to pay 1 to keep the Keiko. But anyway. Yeah. So if Turan had seen the SDS, there is a chance here. But now I think it's a really bad position. Actually, let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, keeping SDS is hot here with 1 Buzzsaw, 1 Echelon out of the game. Yeah. I think there were likely to be more agendas in HQ. You drew 21 card by that point and only scored a 1-pointer, so definitely a solid HQ run. I think it was just that if it's the run I'm remembering, Turan had made... I thought that Turan had seen more cards at that point. Maybe I was just thinking about a theoretical run. But yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair. In my mind, I think I thought that there was already a run. Tat says, do you think it's correct to cut laundry in this runner? I would say in Reg Hoshiko in general, I don't think it's correct. But this is a very different build. I really like laundry and Hoshiko. Like, I think this game shows that like this style of Hoshiko can have some trouble like setting up early. I think this could have been smoothed out a little bit by some better sequencing. But to me, I think Dirty Laundry helps and it has so much synergy with Hoshiko, so I really like it. But it makes even more sense if you're on a ball build and this is a Keiko build. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so drawing into the SDS is kind of bad, but we do what we can. So we put 1 in the remote, and I guess we credit here. Oh, we advance. I don't think there's a need to advance now. I guess that just kind of telegraphs what this is. But yeah. So Turan has a few accesses left in him. So now we take the credit, we advance. So we're threatening to win next turn. So it makes sense. So basically now Turan has to find the remaining points. And I believe it's impossible, I guess. 7... How much is it to break Archer? 3... So at least 6. Maybe Turan can afford to give me the money. 6. Border control. Well, I guess not really, because if I get the money... Well, I guess that buys a turn. So let's say... No, there's border control. And then if we go through it again, then he gives me 2. It's not good. So probably only HQ is what you can do this turn, but it's not enough. Unless there's enough agendas there. So the SDS gets stolen, but it's the last turn of the game, unfortunately. So that's GG. Yeah, I think I didn't get the fastest of starts, but also Turan had a lot of trouble getting running. Took a lot of time before like the engine was up, and like had to trash the Taka early and so on. So it became quite awkward, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. So even though I didn't have the best, like there was still a little bit of a chance because it took so much time to get stuff rolling that the agendas were very clumped up in R&D by the end of it. So you could see there by the end, as I was drawing an agenda and trying to score it, I was drawing into another one that could potentially be stolen. But the early game went well enough that Turan wasn't high enough on points where that mattered. So yeah, cool game. I think this is the kind of matchup the definitely the BTL wants to play against. I think it struggles against other decks, but here it kind of shined. Um, I guess I did want to do like a little special. It is kind of late, but I do want to do a little special before. Um, yeah, before before I end the stream. I just wanted to talk about this and play like one game. Um, so I've been playing an updated version of the end of the line Asmari that I was doing. One thing I was finding was that it was having money problems. So I went to 3 digital life, only one behold. Um, I went to 3 end of the line, 1 mindscaping to save another slot instead of 3 mindscaping, 2 end of the line, which might be a mistake. Like, I don't know. Against some decks, you might need more kill, or if they actually call your bluff, you also might need more kill, because if they're full tag me, stealing all your agendas, but you haven't drawn enough cards to kill them yet, it's kind of sad. But this was kind of doing very well, and I was kind of excited about it. After testing a bit with Brandon, I feel like it's still struggling against Mulch. Hey, what's up, Rai? How you doing? But yeah, but I like these changes. So we had some ideas maybe how to improve it. One interesting idea Brandon had was like cutting 1 end of the line for a mindscaping and a skunk, and then maybe you have to cut an amuse as well. It makes it less reliant on amuse, which might help versus mulch, but it might also be a decent card in general. Yeah, then there's a question like, so you can try to make use of this remaining 1 influence. Maybe you can use it for Avarice, maybe you can use it for Magnet. There's a bit of an issue with everything, but regardless, I think it's a very fun list, and I really like it a lot more with this Your Digital Life. So I thought I'd just play at least like 1 game before I end the run. Never mind these deck names. Yeah. So I'm gonna play one game with it just to show it off a little bit. Because I think it's really fun. With more money, it smooths it out. I think there's still more experimentation to be done with that. Yeah. The forgot the T. I'm not sure what that means. The yeah, so I like it. It feels very jammy. You typically have enough money. But yeah, there are some inherent issues. One inherent issue is like, if they go tag me, do you actually have enough, like, if enough kill to kill them? Which you may not. I like the Rashid and ping, so let's keep this, even though we have an agenda. Yeah, so sometimes if they just call your bluff, you don't have the kill. And if they imp past your amaze, it's annoying. Although, to be fair, that's the only real issue I've had so far is versus mulch, but I haven't done a lot of like very difficult testing. Maybe this is just install ping in front, so I don't overdraw. I kind of like that. Figure I call event versus Arisan. I'm not 100%. But other than that, yeah, the cards are flowing out of your hand very nicely. Ooh, Paragon, that's spicy. There's some synergy there with Arizona though, so I can see it. But I don't know if it's worth the influence. Lily pad is so much value. It's only 1 credit more, gives you 1 more memory, and like triggers very easily. It's cool though. It reminds me of when Hoshiko was new and people were playing Paragon in Hoshiko. Oh, you want zoom in? Is this better? Just gonna see that it looks okay here. Need to move my face. Or you want to zoom in on my face or the board? Oh, it's an Aesop's build, so I guess we should be calling program then. Oh wow. I kind of want to hedge before I score this crypto. So let's do that, I guess. Hope that this doesn't get contested now, but then at least we can oppo. And there's like a natural turn here to just draw up. And if that's the case, then we can score the crypto and just remove all that money. Oh, so perfect. Yeah, this is perfect. So we just get to score this hollow. Amazing. Zoom in on the kitchen. all the kitchenware and stuff in the background. Sure, why not? But I'm not actually gonna do that though. Server 1. Yeah, the crypto in the remote is a bit committal because if we draw Rashida or something next turn, we might want to put that or the off-world. So maybe better to just VSA on HQ. I guess I like that. And then just call program. So R&D is vulnerable. I don't know what multi-access we're expecting, like maybe cataloger, maybe conduit, maybe... I guess those are the main ones. Some Aesop Aries were playing Niashia. Which, I mean, I did play that in my Aesop lat in Intercons. That's kind of neat. Oh, Imp. That's very aggressive. A very spicy list. Imp and Paragon. And trashing the ice now, which is a bit annoying. But it allows us to oppo. Do we crypto crash now? Maybe in case they just money up. Like crypto here. This on R&D. We keep calling program, I think. So if this is contested, it is a bit sad, but we can definitely trash the Aesop at that point. Probably we will be able to trash the Aesop regardless, actually. Oh, Imp is trashed. That's nice. No, I guess, yeah, no, there's enough clicks to clear the tags here. Oh, Cuban. Is this going to be an aggressive turn? No. Clearing the tags. Okay. So Hollow Man. I think we move Hollow Man to HQ now. Yeah, because we're not like using it this turn. And if we're gonna lose the Crypto Crash, we want to keep the Hollow Man at least. Beal. Another Beal. Wow. Okay. Call program again. So if this guy plays around crypto, this is a bit annoying. Because we want to get our agenda scored. And we're a bit slow here, just like kind of clicking for credits. But if he doesn't play around crypto, then it's going to be amazing. And also, well, he would need to play around crypto and play around the ID trigger. So something like just drawing. Oh, okay. So going after the Hollow Man here. Not bad. So if I res a VSA here and something like Euler. Well, then I'm still forcing a Euler install. So, and it's 2 to trash the Hollow. So Unity. Neat thing here is like Unity still needs to boost against this, so it's still 2 to break VSA. So now real bucks need to be paid for this to be trashed. Paragon value. Yeah, this is awkward drawing those Beals. Install and res Spin Doctor. So we want to install the Hollow Man. I would love to draw like a hedge fund here. Yeah, we want the Spin Doctor. There's some stuff we want to shuffle back if we can. Oh, it would be so nice to, to score an off-world. Actually, what am I talking about? I can, because I can just over-install this crypto with the off-world and then install Hollow Man. Of course. Let's do that. Okay. And then we just install the Beal after, and then we're Gucci unless he can get into the remote. We want money, I think. Yeah, let's get the money. So there's draw. It's looking like we'll get this score. If we don't need to rest anything, we'll get this score. We'll stay at 7, and we can threaten to win with Beal. Maybe that forces a run here. Oh, running there. Well, that is neat. Just don't snipe the Beal, please. Don't. Ah. Fuck my life. That's not fair. This is not fair. Okay, well, we can score the off-world, still have 7, and we can install Rashida. That's like a nice play. Or we can Oppo. Both of them are good options. which one is the best though. If we oppo and we want to do the big oppo, so to speak, it is at 7, so we dip to 2. We dip very low, which I don't like. So I think I'm going to go for the Rashida line and try to save the oppo for later. So the question is now, do you ace-op this Cuban? Or maybe you ace-op the Ika and then you get the value here? But it's not that much value, unless you get like another Cuban on this ice. Running HQ. Okay. So ace-up was not used. Yeah, I feel like even though Paragon is cool, this guy would just be better off having this same deck but with Lily Pad, and then the influence could be freed up for something else like Entangler or something like that. Because you can see that he's spending... If he was spending less time clicking to draw, that would really be beneficial. Like, we've played quite a lot of turns, but he still has 32 cards left in his deck. Okay, the VSA. I just need this not to hit agendas, and then we are okay. Oh my god. Oh my god. No. Why? Well, at least we can get a huge oppo now. We fire the Rashida. We find all the kill pieces. Ohleman, I guess, stays. Oof, and we draw a lot of agendas. So this deck is playing a lot of agendas, to be fair, 9 of them, but we have drawn quite an insane amount still. Now we can do something crazy. Like install Beal. How do we do this? So in order to score the Beal, we need it's 6 credits with Hollow Man to score out. We're hoping that the pings hold. We probably oppo to distract, hoping that he spends time dealing with that. And we probably need to keep the headline in hand. We could mindscaping maybe. We risk drawing into more agendas, but then we can put something on top that we know is not stealable. Another line is just scoring an agenda out of hand, but that's still 6 credits. We need 6 more to win. So so I could like score the headline, but is then the line just to run HQ a bunch of times? I don't know. That's a bit frustrating. So we could trash this ice. I guess we could put a ping on HQ. Yep. I feel he's not likely to be able to get into the remote. He could be able, like for example, trashing Ika, overclocking SMC, and then there's like propeller, and you get through the Hollow Man, and then we lose. We have to be prepared for that, but yeah. So trashing this VSA seems like decent this turn. Install. So if we oppo for 2, we're at $8. I think that's fine, yeah. So if we dip low enough not to be able to score this, but he doesn't steal an agenda, he might have enough tags that we can win with Mindscaping. But yeah, it's a bit scary drawing that many at this time. And this will definitely, unfortunately, be the only game of today because it's getting very late over here. So bouncing the Ika to get the money on the urban art. Running archives. Okay. It's looking like a passive turn then, but we don't know for sure yet. This could still be like overclock something. The suspense. All right, so we win. Yay! It all worked out in the end. Justice. Nice. Amazing. What cool game. Yeah, I just wanted to show off the deck and the changes made. I think it's cool. I think there's some more progress perhaps to be made on it. I want to give a little bit of a shout out. There's like a not very known Netrunner podcast called Radio Heinlein that me, Axel, and Ba were on an episode about shaper rotation in like going into dawn, and I guess what we'd like to, or I guess it's called elevation, going into elevation. So check that out if you'd like. I'm sure the guy would appreciate some people to check it out, and I think it was like a pretty good episode. Yeah, and we're supposed to make another one, but something on the corpse side is what it's going to be this time. And I might make some content before rotation as well. Well, I probably will. Just talking about how it could affect things, and it's it's going to affect so much, so it's going to be very exciting. But anyway, yeah, I have a few ideas. The streaming will be sporadic, but like yeah, whenever I have energy and ideas, I'm going to be here to do some stuff like today. So yeah. Thank you for watching, and actually I realized sorry about the camera angle today. It's a bit weird, but I hope it's okay. And to Vlad's question, the districts, I believe so I'm going to Turin in April, and I believe we're going there to play the Turin district tournament. That's the only one I have planned because I mean, we're going there with friends and hanging out, and of course then I'm gonna play. Beyond that, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but maybe. Um, um, yeah, I'll have to check them out. I'm not really sure about which ones there are. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's been fun streaming. Let me know what you think about the replay analysis. If there's something I could do better there, or if it's something you enjoy and that you would like to see more in the future, or yeah, if you just prefer to see the jamming of games or talking about deck lists. Um, Stuff like that can be like interesting to know. But anyway, thank you for watching. Yeah, had a good stream. See you around.